Swallow my coffee, and it's pretty well.
Poor me.
Coming back.
Oh, I got a body armor for you.
Maybe I just haven't seen him since he's up
Okay, we all need coronavirus together. Well, then I got it too. Yeah. No, this is very important meeting,
feels so official. You said it was 4 more minutes.
like very important.
Oh, it's 4
Yeah, this should be part of this great discovery.
Really like your socks.
Thanks. It's like the third
Comment I've got to tell you about.
That was the first nice one, actually. So, I would say compliment. That's why I wasn't comment. No, yeah, right. You said you're like, what are you asking?
Yeah, now that you say that.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
I said Ty could come since Coach Mack isn't here, but I don't know. I said, I told Coach Ty that he could come since Coach Mack isn't here, but I don't know if we'll get the chance to come over or not. How's the temperature in here? I'm always cold, but
I must say a little warm.
What, are you a cheerleader? Is it hot in here? It's hot in here. There must be a higher in here.
I was totally gone with the first one.
You said that again.
Huh?
He was singing a song. He wasn't
I think
singing
that was
the
a
church
crowd.
song.
It was.
Did he say that chili pepper up here? Bell peppers, maybe. Or jalapeno.
Bridget, do you practice walking like that? You walk like you should have background music that's playing in the background. You are, I'm serious. Every time I see you walk, I'm like, what song would I play for him just walking down the hall?
Probably
Be
back.
something cool.
Probably something girly is not together.
No, it'd be something cool.
Mostly like Back in Black.
Yeah, exactly, that would probably fit. Yeah, it's got this like, what is that? What do I call it?
It's kind of mojo.
Yeah,
Kind of swagger.
swagger.
They're the first ones that ever jumped.
What?
Your swagger goes with Will's socks.
It does.
All right, that's it.
Take that.
I'm going home after this, I'm changing my
I
socks.
like your songs, don't let them
I've
off.
got my cowboy socks on.
I appreciate that. We need all the fans we can get.
I know.
He didn't say he was a fan, he just said he had a on.
Right.
As disappointing as it is, I think.
There's plenty of food, so.
Staff makes fun of me for so slow and quiet. No one's ever told me I had swagger.
No, we're good, I just had to focus myself. So that I would not do what you saw that I was doing. I will feel here. Hang on a minute.
Okay, so as we get started, this is for a class that I'm doing in my master's. So typically, I probably would be doing this in front of people that I might not know as well, because what I know all of you. But we're just gonna kind of roll with it that way. And even though it's something that I'm doing for my master's, this can definitely be used in a very practical way here at Crowley's, just like it can at other schools or businesses. It's on. I got it. So just some housekeeping things that I kind of need to make you aware of before we start. Plenty of food. Feel free to just get up, even if I'm in the middle of talking. You can grab you another half sandwich. You guys know where the bathrooms are, out the hallway. Girls there, men's right around the corner. And if you get too hot or too cold, let me know, because we can, hopefully I'm going to try to turn it down a little bit because I'm a little toasty. But we'll get right into it. So for those of you that don't know, Erica Richardson. I did get my bachelor's here at Crowley's Ridge College in business administration with a minor in sports management. And I'm currently working towards my master's in conflict management and resolution on the practitioner's track from Abilene Christian University. I am certified in a couple different things. One is a regular mediation and the other is advanced family mediation training. So that's something that I also did through Abilene. I had to do that as a part of my master's. Without those certificates, I wouldn't be able to get the master's hopefully in late August. If you have not noticed, it's pretty evident that we are going through some changes at Crowley's Ridge College. Several major changes. The board of directors named Mr. Richard Johnson, soon to be Dr. Johnson, as its new president on January 1, 2020. As soon as he took over, he did several things. First, hired a new VP of Academic Affairs. He approved 2 new academic division chairs and named a new director of institutional assessment. Along with that, he also signed off on multiple new committee chairs and things like that. He took over for President Ken Hoppy, who, if you were keeping track, was our president for 16 and a half years. So to have just a new president after that long is a big change in and of itself. That list is probably the tip of the iceberg of things that are going to change while we're here. I think that you'll all find that there's going to be even more things that are new, more things that are changed that come our way in the next few months, and especially as we start the new school year. As you might expect, that much change can bring quite a few feelings to different people. Feelings, emotions, reactions among you all, among our students, among any other constituents of the college. So the challenge that's set before us is to be able to be willing and able to change and manage that change in a positive and productive way. So that's what we're going to try to do today, is to evaluate change and how it impacts you, and then be able to put that towards our work here at Crowley's. So as we keep getting started, if you want to thumb through this is just a training manual that you can kind of follow along. There's plenty of places to take notes if you want to. You definitely don't have to. It's just there if you want. Later, we're going to do an activity where I'm going to have you all stand up and we'll be in a single file line. I'll kind of go over this later. But as we go and as we get closer to that, I kind of want you to start thinking about things in your life that have changed for you and how you've reacted to those. So I have 4 or 5 kind of generic things that I'm going to ask and have you respond to. They're not super personal. I'm not going to try to embarrass you, okay? But I do want you to try to be open and honest when we get to that point. So don't be nervous about the questions. I'm not going to try to we're not going to get real deep today, okay? But after I do my 4 or 5, I'm going to kind of open it up to see if you guys want to add anything that will continue the activity. So kind of keep in the back of your head things that have changed for you. It can be personal or professional that you've had to adapt to in your life, okay? Any questions so far? All right. So today we're going to kind of go over this needs assessment that I've done in the last month or so. Some of you did fill out that survey for me, and we're going to kind of go over that survey and what we learned from that survey. We're going to talk about some positive thinking and positive culture at Crowley's, and then how it impacts you specifically and how we can impact Crowley's specifically. So first, if you want to turn to page 5, this training survey, I posted it, I think a lot of you got it, just posed it through an email. It included several questions like, as an individual, how well do you adapt to change? Choose one, and you had to choose very poor, below average, average, above average, excellent, and so on and so forth. There was one that was kind of an open-ended question in the last month: what changes have directly affected you in your work at Crowley Ridge College? So we got some open-ended answers from that. And then there was some more just like check all that apply. Things like, what is your perception of the changes that have happened? What resources do you feel CRC could utilize to positively implement various changes? So I kind of gave those people that did this survey options. So for that first one, your perception of change, it could be anything from excited to pessimistic. Okay, so they range from super positive to like super holy cow, I don't like change at all. Okay. And then that other one, I tried to give some good things that maybe we don't do here very well right now, but you think that would be beneficial to us as we move forward. Things like college-wide professional development, trainings like this one, maybe some more open forum discussions, things of that nature. So while some of you did check those that apply, there were 2 or 3 that also gave me some other options, and those were great. So if you just keep flipping, you'll see some of the results to those. And I do kind of want you to look at them, because while obviously you know how you would answer those questions or how you did answer those questions, I want you to see kind of where you fall with everybody else. This is a small sample size. There's only about 9 responses that are included in this, but kind of see where you are, see where we might be as a college as a whole, thinking about change. For the most part, it's average or fairly positive, which to me is a good thing, because like, you know, we're going through a lot of change, and the fact that the vast majority of us are willing to view change in this positive way is a positive thing. Okay, so kind of look through those. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I thought it was interesting that some individuals, there were less individuals that thought they adapted to change below average, but there was a slight more people that thought that CRC as a whole adapted below average. So that could be several things. That could be your perception of our leadership and how they tackle change. That could be maybe you're a little bit harder critique on the college than you are on yourself. Okay, there's several things that could go into that. That number 3 in the last month, what changes have directly affected you in your work at Crowley Ridge College? That's a pretty long list of some major things. So you kind of want to go through and look at those. Those things affect not just one job, they affect almost every job here on campus. And that resources question, I think, will be helpful for us moving forward. I would like you to keep us honest with that. I'm going to do my best to use this data to help affect some real positive change, which means that I want us to have more professional development. I want us to have more specific departments that meet and do development that's just specific to them. I want to do more team building exercises within departments and different facets on campus. So as we kind of get into the summer and we start the new school year, keep me honest with that. Okay, I don't want to just talk about good things that can happen and then nothing change. Okay, so I need your help with that as we move forward. The second part of the needs assessment after the survey was a couple of interview sessions. Now that survey was anonymous, okay, so you don't know who said what or where they rank on anything, but the 2 that I did my interviews with, you'll know just by their titles, so sorry guys, your answers are going to be right there for people, but they had some great answers and some answers that I think that they would tell just about anybody that would walk into their office. So if you want to read through those, if anybody has any questions, Trika, I kind of want to, do you want to expound on any of the things that we kind of talked about? What positive reactions to change have you noticed at Crowley's? negative reactions or how we implement those. Your answers are on 10 and 11. If you wanted to expound on those, you can. Dr. Davis, you have the floor too to do that if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But it's there for you if you want. If you want to explain yourself further.
This was a while ago that you interviewed me, and so there have been even more positive changes since that interview. And then as far as negative reactions, I feel some of those have been resolved since our last
Why?
interview. Because I noted in here that it was almost like an anxious feeling for people that worked here because they just didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And some of those have kind of been shared. And so we have more, it's not just looking toward the future, but it's seeing kind of what's going to happen as we move forward. So I think that negative reactions especially, I think it's kind of been resolved just with more communication and.
Okay. Communication as in like the town hall meeting that we had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good example of that, and kind of just sharing plans and ideas, and even with the strategic planning process, you can look at the agenda alone of what's gonna happen in the months to come and kind of see, this is our plan and this is how we're gonna make it better, and this is who we're gonna involve in moving forward with that plan.
Sure.
And so, but yeah, just in the last few weeks that even we talked about this and you interviewed me, there's been even more changes, but I think in a positive way.
Dr. Davis, you got anything?
I really don't have anything to add. I think the answers that I gave still hold true today. So if you're willing to take questions,
Yeah.
maybe someone needing clarification of something.
I really liked your Spider-Man reference. With power comes great responsibility. You pointed out that we are now kind of shifting roles, responsibilities, and powers to people that maybe haven't been used to that yet, like division chairs or department leaders, things like that. And while that's an exciting thing, that might, as we go, bring some nervousness, bring some tension, some stress. So just being aware of that is a good first step to being able to adapt to this change in a positive way. So 12, I just kind of gave a summary, and I think I said this earlier, that it's very encouraging to me that by and large, the majority of faculty and staff that we have here are ready for change. We're excited about change and we're ready to get going, and that's a great thing to see as we're moving forward with so many changes. So there's a reason to be optimistic and there's a reason to be hopeful working here. Questions about the survey, about the interviews before we move forward? Okay, so as we keep going, I do not have a teacher background, but in training we do have objectives just like you do in the classroom. So by the end of this training, I want everybody in here to be able to identify common emotions and reactions to change in one's personal life and the workplace, to discern between positive and negative attitudes in response to change, and adjust how one reacts to that change. And then finally, analyze how Crowley's Ridge College is implementing change and define one's role in that process. All right. So, as we keep going, let me flip through these real quick. I'm going to get you up out of your seats, okay? Does anybody need a bathroom break or a drink or anything before we do that? So I've got time to pause.
I gotta go get my stuff so you can go first.
Okay.
I'll be back then.
All right. Drink? No? Good? All right. All right, so for this activity, you're gonna have everybody stand up and stand in a single file line. So I'll try to stay here, but if I don't, just try to stay in the middle of the room. Yeah, face me. Yep. Face me, single file line. If we can all fit within my little U, that would be awesome, but if not, that's okay. If we need to extend it behind the tables, that's all right.
It don't matter, I don't want to do something with that, it's gonna be like,
All right, so I have the instructions on the board, but I'm gonna go through them in case you can't see them. So I'm gonna read a scenario, a change scenario that's happened in your life. Remember, these are things that I kind of want you guys to be thinking of 2, because I have 4, but if you have another one to add, I would love for you to add it, okay? So I'm going to read the scenario, and if that applies to you, if you have gone through that type of change, I want you to take a step to the right, okay? So be single file as we start, and then take a step to the right if it applies to you, okay? Then I'm going to ask you, those of you that did step to the right, if you reacted or felt positively to that change, then I want you to step back to the middle. If you thought that you reacted negatively or felt negative emotions towards that change, I'm going to ask you to take another step to the right. It doesn't have to be a super big
Square.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a super big step, but just big enough to where you can tell that you're not in the middle line. Makes sense? Okay, so again, not going to embarrass you. However, I do want you to be honest with yourself. Okay, so it's going to be easy to say yes or no, I went through that change, but you need to think back to that change honestly and remember, how did I react to that? Okay, positively or negatively. All right, the first one's going to be something easy. Did you change majors in college? Take a step right if you did. Okay, and everybody can kind of look around just to see the difference in the room. Okay, Kaylin, are you going to have enough space?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So those of you that stepped, did you react positively to the change? If you did, go back to the middle. If you did negatively, take another one. Okay.
What am I gonna do with my life?
Okay, so those of you that work in education, when somebody changes course of their, literally courses, like they're changing their entire course of what they want to do with their life, it can either be something very exciting or it can be something very nerve-wracking, like I don't really know what I want to do, but I know it's not this. Or if they're excited about it, like they finally figured out what they want to do, here's where I'm at. See the differences, okay? All right.
So can I go back?
Yeah, you can go back. Yeah, we'll always reset the next one.
Oh, I was thinking, yeah, we're right on the wall.
All right. Second one is, any time in your life did you move houses / school districts?
Like me personally?
Yes, you. Like, did you ever move houses or change
Is this
schools?
like growing up, or is this like?
Either.
after?
Either. It can be in your adulthood or it can be in your childhood.
Still live in the same house I was born in. They were.
Oh, I guess now I'm taking
Any
I was thinking as a child.
any move in your life, okay? All right. So think to, if you move more than once, try to think of the most significant move in your life. Okay, so I'm not just talking about like moving up the street or something. I think about the most specific move. If it involved moving school districts, that would be kind of ideal, but if it didn't, that's okay. Just the most significant move to you. Okay? So if that was a positive experience for you, step back to the middle. If it was negative, step to the left.
I've got a question.
Okay,
I've got 2 that come to mind.
Okay.
One,
You can just pick
one was
whichever one.
bad, one was good.
Just pick whichever one you want to. Okay, so stay here for a second. I do want to talk about this. If anybody's willing to share their experience and why, let's start positive first. Share your experience and why the move was positive.
Oh, I went to school at Crowley College.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I didn't go to
Oh, yeah.
so moving away from home and to college, that was the first time you were away from home, but it was a positive
Yes.
experience for you, obviously, because you work here now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else positive want to share? It's okay if you don't want to.
Agreed, and I lived at 2 or 3 different places since I've been at college, and each one was good, and I got married, so that's another.
Okay, so marriage, that's another one. So your marriage move, the move that happened whenever you moved in with your husband, that's been a positive thing for you.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Let's move to a couple of negative, if you don't care to share a negative moving experience.
Mine was coming here. I was so afraid of my family, like falling apart completely, that like I was anxious and terrified my first year, just because I was the man of the house. My brother had been gone. I was the guy that kind of, I had a job and made money for the family, and so that was gone. And so I was terrified for them.
Okay, so the negative reaction to the move was tied towards that love and care that you had for who you were leaving.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
My dad died, and our house went with his job, so we had to leave it.
Okay. How far was the move?
Well, for my mom and brother and sister, it was in the same town, which was not good, because he was the preacher, so we lost our house and our dad, but we still had to go to his job every Sunday. For me, I moved to Jonesboro, so it was very difficult, because it happened about a month apart. So I moved from my childhood home 5 hours away.
So the negative emotions from the move were tied to a loss. Okay. Anybody else want to share?
Mine was marriage, but. No, when Ethan and I first got married, he got a job in Little Rock, which is not that far away, but we had to move for his job, and we were both born and raised here in Paragould, which is not very big, and then we moved to Little Rock, which is way too big for us, so we did not like it.
So size, atmosphere, culture, that made it negative.
Yes.
She said traffic.
Traffic, okay. Anybody else?
Mine was when we moved, I was going into the 3rd grade. And it was one of those, it wasn't awful, but at the 3rd, when you move complete towns and everything, there was a part of school that I missed out on, all that formula, the kindergarten through 2nd grade. I made friends, but I always felt like I was on the outside looking in. It was a weird feeling that, talking to my brother later, that he kind of felt that same thing. And it wasn't, we made friends, we did fine, but it was just a weird, uncomfortable feeling. Even now, going back, I mean, we've lived there, my mom's lived there for, since 91. And it's, going back, it's still home, but it's also not. So I'm not a local. It's weird.
Do you think that that's that culture specifically, or do you think that would be still the same if you had moved like somewhere else?
I think it might have been the same. The other thing is that where we moved to was a very much an outdoorsy hunter, woodsman, that kind of thing, and I grew up without a father who didn't do any of that, so I didn't do shopcraft class, or I didn't go hunting. So there was some of that as well. Some of it I think may also be self-imposed. It may be, you ask some of my classmates, they may say, no, you've always been a local, that kind of thing. But it's just,
your perception.
my perception is that it just,
Okay. Reset. All right, 3rd one. This one could be a weighted question, but I'm not going to ask specifics. So this one is changed jobs. Now your change of job could be for any specific reason, but I'm not, like, it could be because you were fired. It could be because you transferred. It could be a promotion. It could be a demotion. I'm not going to ask those kinds of specifics. So just think about if you ever have changed jobs. Okay. All right. So those of you that changed jobs, negative experience. One more positive experience. Setback.
well, I don't,
Not sure. You can stay if you're not sure.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Positive ones. Why was it a positive change for you with the job change?
I started off part-time here, part-time at the hospital in Jonesboro, and then I got moved to full-time, just kind of blessing.
I went from teaching kindergarten to teaching here, and this is a different perspective. So in kindergarten, I really felt like I was changing kids' lives, but that was like 20 a year. And here, I have 5 students, they each get 20 kids, that's like 100 a year. So it's better.
Okay. That's a neat perspective. Anybody look at it? Anybody else?
Well, I left teaching, I guess at the end of the school year in 1998, and I taught at Westside. So I was there on March 24th, and my lifelong friend was killed. And so I couldn't
started working for a company called Books Are Fun, which leaves books at businesses and schools and sells as a very cold call thing, which was very nerve-wracking for me. But through that process, I left books at Watson Dental Care. And David and I had met in college, but we were never friends, we didn't run around together. But that led to our first date and then to our marriage, so it ended up being a good change for me, even though it was scary at the time.
Okay, so you were able to find a way to work through the negative emotions initially and figure out a way to make it positive? Would that be fair to say?
It's God, that's
Yeah.
what I'll say.
Okay.
It's all God.
I didn't meet my husband there, but that kind of stuff, like the changes, the reason I left a job was not, I would have been okay staying where I had, but just funding on both actually was kind of like, we don't have enough, there's not enough money for you, so you have to leave. So I was okay staying, I wanted to stay, and it was a kind of a God thing. You kind of work with, okay, now I don't have a job, what am I gonna do? And you kind of work through that, but again, my faith is one of those that He's either going to land me softly where I need to land, or He's done it once, and if I splatter all over the ground, He can put me back together. So it wasn't a bad thing, but it wasn't necessarily a yay change
Yeah.
either.
Okay. Okay.
Mine was, I'll be teaching next semester, and I'm not teaching.
So this is okay to talk about, obviously, because we work at a Christian school. My master's is through a Christian school. It might be, the dynamic might be a little bit different if we were doing this training in a company or something. I think you would have some of those same inputs, but maybe not everybody in the room would necessarily agree with those. But God obviously plays a huge role in how we can look back at change and how we can look forward to change. Does that make sense? So even though as humans change scares us and we have negative responses, us as Christians can turn that pretty quick if our faith is where it needs to be. Does anybody negative wise have something they want to share about why it's
I'm
negative?
not really sure where I'm at, so
It only leaves one.
You want neutral or negative first?
Either.
okay. Well, most of y'all know my degree is in youth and family ministry, so I've done ministry at technically 2 congregations, and neither one of those were bad experiences. I look back on one of them and think, like, if I was a little more mature, I'd still be there. That being the one over here at Hillcrest, but also leaving that place, my wife now was not happy. So if I would have stayed, I probably wouldn't have been with Tara. So that was a big part of that. And then the other one, a little tougher situation. I'll just be honest with y'all, because we're trying to do that. Like, my longtime life mentor had kind of the cardinal sin. He cheated on his wife. And so being here, well, on ministry part, I'm kind of jaded because, like, I want to do ministry, but I'm really hurt from that portion, and I don't. And so I'm here, and I'm able to do ministry. Like, that's one thing Chris kind of plugged with me. He said, man, it's recruiting, but you can also still do ministry. He said, that's why I've been here for 10 years still, is I can be recruiting. And so I've been able to be on both ends of that still. But, so I'm kind of stuck in the middle.
Okay. So is it fair to say, and anybody can answer, is it fair to say that the people that are closest to us and around us when we're going through change have a major impact in how we view that change?
For sure.
Dr. Davis?
So I was promoted, and no, this is not. I could come back next year, we'll see what happens. So I'm promoted, and immediately, we don't have 6 or 8 direct reports, and they all have
Okay, so again, that kind of goes back to the people that maybe we choose to surround ourselves with, but then also the people that we have to be surrounded with directly impact how we view specific changes. So the hope is then that since we're all surrounding each other here at Crowley's while we're going through these changes, the hope is that everybody in this room plus everybody else on campus can be the types of people that help us view these changes positively. I don't want to look back at these changes that are going on and say, oh, well, you know, so-and-so across the hall, they just really maybe not like those changes, or they maybe feel anxious about them. Like, I want it to be the opposite. I want it to be, you know, like Heather Coates said, anytime I saw her in the hallway, she was super upbeat about everything that was happening, and she made me really excited about what was happening, what was going on at Crowley's. Does that make sense? Okay. That's all I want to do with that, unless you guys had another scenario you wanted to throw out there. No? All right, you can go back to your seats. Yeah, grab you a drink or another sandwich or a cookie or something while I pull up the video.
I'm waiting on you to say the first time you ever killed him. I was over there.
You want to do this? Look, I'm impressed.
All right, has everybody seen the movie Blindside?
100 times.
I love that movie. Has anybody not seen the movie Blindside?
What I've not seen.
Well, you not seen it? Okay. So, just real quickly, it's based on a true story of a young man named Michael Moore. He was, as you're going to see, very large athletic specimen. Okay.
Yes, I've seen the preview.
Okay,
I know
so
the
he grew
premise,
up
but I'm not-
in poverty, really bad circumstances, was taken in by a very loving, well-off family, and he turned out to be very good at football. Okay, so the whole story is kind of centered around his relationship with the character that Sandra Bullock plays, and that. So I'm gonna play this scene. It's not quite 5 minutes. I love Sandra Bullock. She's probably my favorite actress. I don't know what that says about me or not. I think she's really good. So I want you to watch it and pay attention to how Michael's perception and the way he views something has to be shifted in order for his performance to be better.
Oh, yeah, Jim.
You got 100 pounds on Collins and you can't keep them out of our backfield? Hold your block until the whistle blows. Hold it. All right, let's go.
The camera. Michael always does better when he sees what he's supposed to do.
Four. George, hold it inside here between the kids. You got it? Will you look at me, son? If you grab them outside here like this with that horse collar thing you just did, you're gonna get flagged and I'm gonna be pissed. You hear me? All right, go.
Baby, wash my stuff, all right? Okay.
Well, at least I learned how to come off the bus. I'll be terrified till they realize he's a marshmallow. Looks like Tarzan played like Jane.
You need me to bird.
We're in the middle of practice, we am.
Thank me later. Come on. Do you remember when we first met and went to that horrible part of town to buy those dreadful clothes? And I was a little bit scared and you told me not to worry about it because you had my back. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And if anyone tried to get to me, you would have stumped them, right? And when you and SJ were in that car wreck, what did you do to the airbag? I
Stopped it.
You stopped it. You stopped it. This team is your family, Michael. You have to protect them from those guys, okay? Listen. Okay. Tony here's your quarterback, all right? You protect his blind side. When you look at him, you think of me. How you have my back. How you have his, okay? All right, go back. All right. Uncle Lumpy here is your tailback. When you look at him, you think of SJ. Now, you never let anyone or anything hurt him. You understand me? All right, go back. Got it?
What about Collins and Mr. Tony?
Fine, they can be on the team too. Are you gonna protect the family, Michael?
Yes, ma'am.
Good boy. And go have some fun. Yelling at him doesn't work. Bert doesn't trust men. His experience, they pretend to care about you till they disappear.
Want to run a fight?
SJ, you're gonna wanna get this.
Okay. What'd you say to him?
You should get to know your players, Bert. You tested 98% in protective instincts. I said you could thank me later. It's later, Bert.
Okay, so couple of funny moments in there, but we can actually apply several things to our work at Crowley's from that, at least I think. For those of you that know me a little bit better than others, I try to be a positive person, okay? So even when something negative comes up, especially for other people, I've always tried to be like the positive one in the room. So like basketball practice, whenever we had 6 a.m. with Coach Ty, I don't know if Trika and Jordan remember this, but I always made it my mission to try to be the peppiest person there because everybody else was dragging and we're gonna have any fun. But I smiled and was making sure everybody was there and awake and having a good time. Now, I'll be honest, whenever it comes to maybe some hard things that I go through, I still struggle with making sure that I'm positive. But I would like us to use that kind of mindset as we move forward as a college. So just like Michael, he had a task to block, to protect his quarterback, protect his running back. That task didn't change depending on whether it was his mama or his coach that was explaining how to do it. The task didn't change. It was his mindset. It was what he was thinking about while doing the task. So by changing it to be, it was his job to protect, making it something positive, he was able to do it better. Can you guys see how maybe we can apply that to new things? So like whether you're given a new responsibility or you're asked to do something that you've always done a different way, my challenge to you is to take that with a positive mindset. No matter how negative you might feel about it, try and figure out a way to restructure it in a positive way. How can you use what you're given as a way to impact students positively, as a way to impact your coworkers positively? So that kind of leads us to the end. I just kind of want to wrap up by taking any questions you might have, but also kind of pointing out what I think we all know, that we have new leaders, we have new styles, we have new organizational styles, we have new personnel. We're going to have even more new personnel coming in the summer / the fall. We have some new procedures and policies that are going to be putting into place, that they're in the works right now. So my goal and my challenge to you is that no matter how those new personnel changes, new procedures affect you, to take them and use them to impact others. Because we all have that power to do that here, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's on the field or the court, we have that ability. So don't forget that. Don't ever get bogged down by all the new. Don't let it stress you out, even though it's going to at some points, but try to use that. Use the people that you have around you, and use that positive mindset to be able to say, hey, like, I got this, we got this, and we can make Crowley's better together. Make sense? All right, so last thing, if you turn to page 20, 20 through 22, there's kind of a little evaluation that I'd like you to fill out for me. This will help me be able to know how it went and what I need to do to make it better, or maybe the next time, whether it's here or maybe another college or university that I'm allowed to do this at, just whatever's next for this training. I mean, it could stop here, I guess, if it was really bad, but whatever's next for this training, I would like to know how to fix it, how to make it better. So I'll give you a little bit to do that, and then whenever you're done, feel free to grab some more food, and then I'm done with you. Keep the manuals, you're more than welcome to. Just rip out the evaluation for me and leave it on there. If you don't want to keep it, you don't have to. That's totally up to you. But feel free to take pens, notepads, whatever, just as long as you leave me the evaluation.